Hi everyone, I'm Saleha and this is Chai, Chat and Community. Today we are talking about Are You OK Day? Created by Gavin Larkin in 2009 after his dad committed suicide. This day encourages people across Australia to stay connected and have conversations that can help people who are going through difficult times. Simple words. Are you okay? But it can have a huge difference in somebody's life. Before we start, and I introduce you to my guest, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we are meeting, and I pay my respects to the elders, past, present, and emerging. Hello, Nischal. I
Hi,
love the
Saleha.
way you pronounce your name because as a Bengali, we say Nischal and not Nischal, so it is fantastic. Thank you for joining me.
No worries. Thank you so much for having me here. It's a pleasure to be here.
Pleasure. And same here. I mean, I met you last month, and what an impression you made.
Oh, really? I'm so
So,
glad.
Nishal, I know you have a very powerful story which you shared with us. So, tell us something about yourself before we get into our yoga today.
um, Hi, everyone. Namaste. I'm Nischal Niroula. I'm from Nepal. I just completed my master's in IT in software design and development and project management, and I'm currently working as an AI software engineer in Melbourne. I'm also one of the Study Melbourne ambassadors for 2024. I always had that passion for people and technology, and I find myself in a space between those two. So I have always been trying to leverage the power and potential of technology for the betterment of the world around me. So I've been involved in various personal projects myself. Some of them include a mental health AI, a platform that aims to fight food waste and world hunger. And currently I'm working on an application for international students that contains all the information, all the resources needed by international students to get started and to thrive in this journey. Except for that, I am also involved in various brilliantly run non-profit organizations like CVA, MWA, FE, of course, Study Melbourne, of course, and JCI. Except for that, I advocate on mental health, personality development, and professional growth for international students and young professionals through various platforms, including my own podcast. So that's
Right?
basically me.
Do you have any free time at all?
Oh, very hard question. I rarely do have free time, but I feel like I have time for doing good. Except for that, I don't have time to live my life.
Well, you need to. You need to have free time and do stuff that you enjoy, you know. And Melbourne is a beautiful place. Victoria is gorgeous. So you talk mental health, and mental health is also looking after yourself. We
Sure,
keep saying mental health. Yeah, we keep saying mental health is as important as physical health. So you need to also take time out from your computer, doing all your volunteering work, and take time out for yourself. Very important.
yes. So I try. I try, and my definition of self care is just treating myself right, and just having a kind like being kind to myself, taking myself on some days, going to the gym. But yeah, I do have my self care time, but it's different than what normally self care means to people.
Okay. If it makes you happy. Yes, of course. Um, so you came in as an international student, Nishal. And
Yes.
how was life during the initial days? Did you know anyone? How did you make friends? And how, more importantly, how did you integrate? You know, that's the most difficult things I hear students going through. How do you integrate? Because for many, this is the first time that they've been outside the comfort of their homes. For
Mhm.
many, that's the first flight they're taking in their lives at the age of, 18 or 22, whether you're doing bachelor's or master's. What was your journey like?
My journey was really interesting because I always thought that I needed to do something in Nepal. So I was in Nepal after I did my bachelor's for a few years, but then I realized that no, I needed to go out to learn something, to learn about the world and bring those things back. I realized that there will be hardships. It won't be as easy as living with parents or living around that support system. So, July 13th, 2022 was the day I landed in Australia, and I was a young student full of hopes, dreams, that motivation to do something
And
great.
so cold, so cold.
It was,
July,
it was, it was very cold, but the air was so pure, so
fresh.
fresh. So I flew from Kathmandu, which is one of the most polluted city in the world. So when I took my first breath in Melbourne, I felt like I was in Himalayas or somewhere. But so I was excited, I was happy, I was motivated. I had my mind made up that it won't be as easy as I had thought it would be. But the reality, when I came to Melbourne, when I started my journey as an international student, it was completely different. It was worse than what I had thought. It was worse than what I had prepared myself for. And if somebody is watching this who are planning to go abroad to study, then I want them to know that life as an international student is not as easy as they saw it online. It's not as easy as the consultancies tell you, or the papers or the internet. So
Yeah. Because
you
they are
get to
selling
understand.
the, yes, they're selling a product
Of
to you, isn't
course.
it?
They will say like this is the best place to go. You won't have any issues, but you won't know until you are actually here. So it was hard.
Absolutely.
Even though I had mentally prepared myself, it was hard. There were so many things like cultural difference, racism, financial burden. I had to juggle between uni and work. There was personal responsibilities. There was social life, and it was hard. And it hit me, and all of those things. It was slowly piling up against me, and it started to affect my mental health. So
So hang
it
on,
was.
before you talk mental health, was there racism when you came, when you joined, and you were in Melbourne University? So it's not like, you know, anywhere else, a premier university.
Sorry, I'm in CQ, Central Queensland Uni.
Or you were in
Uh,
CQ. Sorry, I'm sorry. Yeah, yeah.
it's all right.
Sorry.
So the racism I faced, it was not in my university. My university, they accepted everyone with open arms. So there was biasness, there was racism in my workplace, in public vehicles, and people with color. Of course, they're like not everyone is same, but there are some people who discriminate you because of how you look and what color your skin is. And I've got so many incidents. Like I was treated very badly in one of my workplaces because of being Indian. So like I was, people used to call me Indian because Indians and Nepalese we basically look
Yeah, yeah.
similar. And they literally told me that I was Indian, and like they all of them were Australian workers, and I was the only one with the person with color.
Yeah.
And they treated me differently, and it was showing. And it was not just me, it was for other people as well. And in public transports I have faced that multiple times. But so there was a phase when I didn't realize it was racism. I thought it was just random workplace bullying or ragging or
It is
something. I let
bullying.
it.
Yeah.
Yes, I let it slide for a while, and then I started to realize that it's racism, so I was affected by it. And now I've come to a truth within myself that that happens. So no matter how much we talk about racism, no matter how much we do things against racism, it's always there. So I've come to a truth that I just let it slide. It's normal.
And so, how did you adjust? What did you do?
So I had a friend. He's a senior to me. Me and me, we studied in the same school, studied in the same bachelor's days. And I had initially planned to go to Sydney. And when he knew that I was coming to Australia, he was like, "No, if you come to Sydney, then you better not call me brother." And he gave me insights on why Melbourne was better. And I changed my uni from Sydney to Melbourne, which is one of the best decisions I have ever made. But he was there, he was always there. And he left Melbourne because he needed to go to regional for his PR and stuff. So I
Yeah.
was alone. I was basically alone. I didn't have anyone. And so my definition of friends, so there are people, there are people you study with, there are people you work with, and there is your support system. There are your friends. There are
Yeah.
people who
They are your friends.
listen to you without judgment or anything. And I didn't have any at that point. But slowly I started to, I'll talk about it later, when well, like how everything changed. But slowly I started to attend events. I started to join clubs and societies in my university. I opened my own club in my university, and I tried to befriend like-minded individuals. So there's one Spanish saying which says, I don't know the Spanish phrase for it, but it
Yeah, yeah,
translates
but
to tell me about your friends and I'll tell you about you. So I try to befriend like-minded individuals, and yeah.
yeah.
So events, study Melbourne events, meetups, university clubs and societies, and I found through LinkedIn, I found many good friends through LinkedIn as well.
So LinkedIn worked for you.
Oh, LinkedIn is my annadata, what you say in India. So LinkedIn worked for me, yes. Without LinkedIn, I wouldn't be here.
Okay. Integration.
Can you rephrase that
So
integration?
how did you get into the community? How did you make friends? Do you want to talk about it now? Do you want to talk about it later?
I can talk
You know,
about it now.
the way we live in Australia is very different to how we live in the subcontinent. Our food habits
Mhm.
are different. Learning new phrases are different. When I remember when I first came here 20 years ago, I had no idea what cow meant. I
Yes.
didn't know what avo meant. And, those typical Aussie phrases. And sometimes when people say stuff, it is actually in banter. A lot of it is in banter. The way we work in the subcontinent is not the way that we work here. When we say come to work at 9 o'clock, which means you get into work 5 to 9, not 5 past 9.
Yes. True.
These are stuff that we've all had to adjust to, integrate into. And punctuality is such a big thing.
Mhm.
How you talk to people, the respect that is shown, saying please and thank you.
Yes.
Sharing. A lot of us, I didn't come in as an international student, of course. I came in as a skills professional, but young people, when they come, they would never have shared a room with somebody else. Sometimes you hear about shared accommodation
Mhm.
where five people are living in one house, where there are
Yes.
only 2 or 3 bedrooms with one bathroom, maybe. So there's a lot of integration, assimilation that you need to do and adjust to this new life, which is so different. We have a word called Raja Baba in Hindi, where
Mhm.
kids are treated like, how parents spoil their children. And
Yes.
then when you come here, you've got to cook yourself, you've got to clean yourself, you've got to wash your clothes, you've got to do everything yourself. And for many of us, that's a huge
Mhm.
challenge because you've
It
never done it.
Yes, it is. It is. And so for me personally, I left my home for my higher studies after my school days. So I was away from
Yep.
my family. So I was kind of
So
prepared
yeah,
being away
yeah,
from that support system. But being in a different society, different world where everything is different, it's very hard
yeah,
to integrate, and it's very hard to merge
yeah,
with that society and that culture, which I feel like I'm still trying to do it. But slowly and steadily, when you are living in that society, when you have people talking about, just like you said, some phrases or some banters that mean completely different in typical English and completely different in Australian society, you slowly get to know about those things and you slowly integrate with that, with itself. But I think it can be taken both positively and so negatively as well. So it's hard,
yeah.
of course. It's hard for people who are living with their parents, living with their support system, their society, to come to a completely different place. It's hard to integrate, but it makes you independent. Just like you said, it teaches you how to cook, it teaches you how to take care of yourself, it teaches you how to live your life in your own terms, so you don't have those restrictions. So I come from society where we have taboos, where we have stereotypes of so many things. Those are non-existent in this society, in developed
Yeah.
societies. So there are pros and there are cons as well. But if you look into that from a positive perspective, it makes you a better person, it makes you an independent person. But integration, merging into the society, merging into this culture, I'm still doing that. And I guess most of the international students or most of the people from abroad, they always try to integrate in the core society.
One of the things I remember, so somebody said we were in a group of people, and there were a lot of people from Asia, as in our part of the subcontinent, not Asia, as in Asians that we talk, people from the subcontinent. And she said, like in our culture, when you're talking to a person who's senior to you, and you respect them, you never look into their eyes and speak,
Yes.
you look down.
Yes.
However,
Yes.
here, if you don't look into a person's eyes, they'll say you're cagey, and why should I trust you? So, it's these
Yes.
simple, simple things that make a lot of difference. That you have what you've learned is what you unlearn and relearn different things.
Yes, true. But I believe that's very very true that you don't look into the senior person eyes. So for me as well, I have had time spent with you, so I look up to you as a very respected person. So, but when I'm having a normal general conversation, like I still have that positive effect of my culture. So
Yeah,
not to look into person's eye directly, but when you have to discuss about something that you need to show yourself confident, when the situation comes that you need to look into the eye of the other person, then like you have to do it. So it's all
yeah,
about taking the positive from both of the culture and integrating in your own life. So one of the other thing that you mentioned that I really love about this culture is saying please and thank you, which is very rare in our society. So I have my Alexa. I ask my Alexa to do everything. And so when I'm about to go to sleep, I say like, hey Alexa, can you please set up an alarm for 5 a.m. in the morning?
yes,
And it says, yeah, it's done. And I say thank you. So I don't need to do that for
yeah.
Alexa,
It's
but
yeah, yeah, yeah. I know it
yeah,
becomes a
it's a
habit.
habit. Yes.
Yeah,
And another
and it's
thing
a good
is,
habit.
yes, when you are passing by from like with a complete random stranger, if you happen to look at them and they happen to look at you, you share a smile,
It's that.
which is
Yeah,
very
you
rare
smile. You
in our
smile. Yeah,
culture as well. So those are the things that
absolutely.
positives that you need to pick up. And there are, of course, there are negative aspects in every culture. You just,
Of
so when
course,
you are
yes.
sharing cultures, when you are sharing societies, you just have to pick positives and leave the negatives.
Yep.
Yeah.
So now to the most important part of the conversation. So you are a mental health ambassador and you have your own podcast. When did you start? How did you start? And why did you start?
I have a very interesting story about
And that's
it.
the one I want to hear because I
So,
don't know. You,
like I mentioned before, there are so many things that were piling up against me, like financial burden, or the things that I have already discussed about that every international students face. Towards the end of 2022, I was in a very bad mental state. All of those things had accumulated, that had piled up and pushed me towards the negative side of mental health spectrum. So I was going through severe panic attacks. I was going through depression, and I was feeling the early symptoms of schizophrenia as well. And on January 3rd, 2023, so this is something that I have not said with the outer world in this detail, but January 3rd, 2023, I hit absolute rock bottom, and that night I was consumed with dark thoughts of giving up on life. So I was thinking of consequences. I was thinking of scenarios of what my parents would think, what my relatives, what my friends will think if I died today. And I was visualizing those scenarios. And it would be a lie if I say that I did not have a suicide note with me at that time. Right. So I do not remember what happened. So only thing I remember of that night is I had my head on my hands. I was sitting on my desk. I had a paper in front of me, and I was just thinking of those scenarios. And I don't remember what happened afterwards. I slept. I fell asleep. Next morning, I woke up. I went to the bathroom. I saw myself in the mirror, and I did not like what I see. I saw a depressed, swollen, obese, alcoholic, like sleep deprived guy staring back at me. And I did not like that view. And there was a voice inside my head that said, this is not you. Like, this is not what you are supposed to be doing. This is not what you are supposed to be thinking. You have your purpose. You have bigger things in your life. So that was a pinnacle of my life where my life changed. So my that voice inside of me, it was cursing at me, it was motivating me, it was keeping myself accountable to change my life around, and I simply just followed that voice. So I used to work 80, 90 hours a week. At that time, I paid my uni fees by myself, but I would still come back home at like 11 p.m. in the night, go to the gym until 2 or 3 a.m. in the morning. I had no motivation. I didn't have energy, but there was that voice inside of me that just kept on pushing to make change in my life. And I signed up for a marathon, half marathon. If you can see, that's the medal for my half marathon, and that's one of my biggest achievement, because I was 80 kgs and I couldn't even run for a minute or two, and I ran a half marathon with a broken ligament on one foot. So for a few days before the marathon, I had an accident, and my doctor told me that running a marathon was out of the question. But that marathon, that finish line, it was not just a finish line of a race. It was finish line of that negative me, or that depressed me, and I wanted to run it anyway. So I ran through the marathon with a broken leg, literally. And when I crossed that finish line, I felt that, okay, that that me is done, that me is died. And I literally feel that that night I died and I got my rebirth. So the person that you see, the positive
Resurrection.
guy, resurrection. I feel myself as a phoenix, like resurrected from the ashes, honestly. So the person you see, the person everyone sees, is that happy guy who talks about mental health, who talks about motivation. I was not that person until January 3rd, 2023. So it changed. So when that happened, when I came out of depression, I felt obligated to share my story, because when I was in depression, I was looking for mentors. I was looking for helping hands. I was looking for a little light of motivation, and I had no one at that time. There was nobody that I can look up to, and my support system was back in the home, my close friends, my families. But there was a time zone difference. Of course, there was a detachment with that support system, but I did not want to call my parents and tell them that I was going through suicidal thoughts or I was going through depression when I was thousands of miles away from them. I didn't want to give that pressure or that stress to my parents, so I didn't tell them anything. So it was just me dealing with myself. And some I have had so many incidents when I was in a train, Saleha, and it feels bad. But I was in a train, I was coming back home from long shift at work, and I felt like I wish somebody, random, nobody, somebody, a stranger, just come to me and give me a hug, or ask me how I was, or like ask me, are you okay? So
Are you
I
okay?
needed, yes, I needed those things, and there was no one for me. So when I came over that, I felt obligated to be that person for everyone else. So tomorrow my
Wow.
sister will come to Australia. Like my brothers, my families, my people from my world or other countries, they will come to Australia, and they will definitely go through similar situations, because I went through that. I have seen so many people going through that, so many people who gave up on their life because of that. Then if I don't share my stories, if I don't be that hope, that light of motivation for those people, then this will keep on going, this will keep on happening. So I just wanted to help the world. And that's how the podcast started. I started sharing my stories, few people started to listen to it. I got few feedbacks from people saying like, hey, that's awesome, that is really great, it helped me, those strategies helped me, it gave me more motivation to talk about it. And a year later, from being suicidal, having a suicide note in my hand, now talking about mental health, helping other people, has become a part of my identity. So it's just about sharing what I have gone through, and just genuine passion and genuine intention of helping other people not to go through the similar situations, or even if they go through, then like the thought of being for them. So that led to me advocating on mental health on my podcast.
Excellent. Wow. What a story.
Yeah.
Bravo. Uh, Nischal, so what is your podcast called?
So it's called the Nischal Niroula podcast.
Okay.
Uh,
You'll write
yeah,
it for me when I
sure, I
email you.
will.
So, yep, yeah, and you send me a link. So are students coming to you? Are they talking to you?
Yes, yes. I as a Study Melbourne ambassador, Study Melbourne has given me that platform to be vocal on on these things.
Yep.
So I meet so many people through Study Melbourne events, or any other events. Wherever I go, I meet people who come to me, say like, "Hey, I listened to your podcast, and I was going through similar situations, and it felt really great, and it gave me hope to feel like somebody else has gone through the same situations and they have come over it, and it gave me a motivation, it gave me hope." I have got friends who I was out of contact for more than a decade. They text me from US saying like, hey, I listened to your podcast and that was exactly what I needed. And the things that I share on social media, people feel motivated, they react, they tell me that it has helped them. I've always been very open about helping people. So whenever I'm talking about these topics in my university, in anywhere, I always tell them that if you need someone to talk to, if like, I don't care about the time, if it's 1 a.m in the morning, 2 a.m, 3 a.m in the morning, if you feel like you need to talk to someone, you can directly call me, and I always give them the number. So I've had that incident when people have called me, they have asked for help, and I try to help. I'm not a mental health expert. I have not done any degree on medical science or mental health, but it's about sharing my stories. It's about sharing my coping strategies to them, and I have helped them, and I feel so very proud and so very happy to have positively affected those people's life. And if there are some situations where I can't help them, then I would at least guide them towards the right path where they can get help. Yes.
Perfect. Wow. I'm going to introduce you to people.
Thank you.
So just have a couple of more things that I want to ask you. So, what do you think is the biggest issue that international students face? Yes, there is this problem about money is a big thing.
Mhm.
You are allowed to work 20 hours, but uni fees are way too much. Although we know that when universities are accepting international students, you have to show that you have enough funds to carry you through for 3 years. But we all know how the system works. So um, I met I I used to work in a university a few years ago, and I met some really awesome kids. And there was this young girl who said to me that she'd never ever sat in an aeroplane, but she sat on an aeroplane for the first time in her life. She came to Melbourne. She told her parents she didn't need their help. She found a place in 2 days' time. She had the money. She got herself sorted. She studied. She's got a job. She's now a PR. She was my role model, still is, and
Yeah.
now you. So what I mean, you talk to students. What is it that they face the most? Because sometimes, in our culture, just simple words like "Are you okay?" It's just not
Mhm.
happening. I mean, or even if we say "Are you okay?" in whatever language we speak, I don't think we say it with the right intentions. It's just a form of greeting,
Mhm.
you know. It's
Yes.
just a form of greeting, not to ask, "Are you actually feeling okay? I Can I help you?" But these words can be very, very powerful, isn't it?
Yes. Yes. Truly. So we ask, "Are you okay?" to our friends or to other
Yeah.
people of the community in our culture as well, but it's taken very lightly. So imagine we
Yep.
hadn't met in this society, this scenario. We're still back home, and if you came to me and said, "Are you okay?" then I'd be like, "Yeah, whatever I'm going through," I'll
Yeah.
say like, "Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Yeah.
concern you." I like, because it's not about the person's mentality, it's about how the society has curated around those things, like how it has seen mental health as a taboo, and how it has stereotyped the people
Yeah.
going through mental illness. Because there are various forms of mental illness. There's a spectrum from being mentally well to being mentally ill, and if anyone comes up in a society, in from where I come from, so it's underserved areas of underdeveloped country. Nepal is developed country now. And so when somebody says they are not feeling well or they are going through mental health issues, then people usually see themselves as weak, as someone like who, like, in their words, somebody who can not do anything in life, they're just given up their life. And it's looked as very very negatively. So
Yeah.
I want to connect that with something. So I was working, after my bachelor's, I was working in an IT company. It was really good paying IT company. I was doing well, but I was going through some mental issues at the time. And I told my CEO that I was lagging behind on my task and everything. And I was very open about it from beginning. I told my CEO I was going through mental health issues. That person made so huge deal of that little thing that I had to quit the company. So like, he had a separate meeting with everyone else in the team and all the executive members, and he told them that Nistal reached out to me and said like he has mental health issues. What does he mean by he has mental health issues? And like it was taken very lightly. It was taken as nothing. So I'm talking about well-established IT company, like talking about company that deals with international clients, with technology, with advanced level of science. And so for us to talk freely about mental health, for us to understand the importance of asking, are you okay? We need to talk about mental health. We need to advocate on mental health. And whoever has voice, whoever has that power, whoever has that authority of making few other people listen, they should talk about mental health. Because as long as we don't talk about mental health, as long as we don't make uh, a comfortable environment around people going through mental health, or comfortable environment where people can freely talk about mental health, we are not like we will not be able to eradicate this issue of seeing mental health as a taboo from that society, because it's
Yeah.
rooted in the roots of the society, right? So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
it,
Yeah.
it's not only about helping other people with mental health issues. It's not only about just randomly asking, are you okay? It's about saving lives. Because in Nepal, I'm not sure the exact number, but there are double digits of people killing themselves every day, and they range from like 12, 13 years of kids to 70, 75 years old people. So where is the society going? Like what have we been doing against these things? Like we have rules, we have regulations, we have so many things. We organize events, we organize various awareness programs, but it's only for agendas. They're always backed by some political agendas until and unless we don't. So there are people
So we
going
have to
out in
actually
these
embrace
events.
the whole thing, isn't it? We have to
Exactly,
embrace it
yes.
and actually bring in awareness to make a change.
Yes. And like you go out there, you talk about these things in public, and you come back home and you don't talk about mental health with your own parents. Then how is the society going to change? How's my sister going to
Yeah.
be more open about mental health? So I started doing that. It was very hard because there was a generation gap between my parents and me. So I slowly started talking about mental health, and now I am very open to them. So I talk about my mental health. I ask about their mental health, and like I share strategies with them. And so I have made a environment in my family that if my mom is going through something, she will be very happy to come and talk to me. She knows
Yeah.
that I'll be there to understand. So we need to create that in every family. And until and unless we don't do that, mental health will still be a taboo. And I think that is one of the major issues that, so joining it back to the international students, that is one of the major issues international students face. Because in Australia, talking about mental health is okay. It's okay to not be okay. So are you okay? There we have mental health days, we have various events and seminars of mental health. There are organizations, brilliant organizations having these events, but we come from society where they are looked as taboos, and it's very hard for us to transition between these two societies. And so we need to make that change in our societies as well. So when international students come, I was feeling, I was doubting myself when I was about to go see a counselor, because in our society, seeing a counselor means you are
Yep.
not mentally ill,
Yep.
you are mad, you need to go to a
Yep.
mental
I
hospital.
didn't
It's
want to
like,
say the word. Yep. Yep.
yes,
Yep.
it's stereotype is that, right? So it should be open from that society. We should start talking about that society as well, because we are a global nation, and that's what differentiates the underdeveloped societies and developed societies, these little things. Yeah. And
So
another thing, so it's not about mental health, but another thing that I've seen is issues that internet. One of the major issues that international students face is the risk of them giving up on their dreams. So I've seen so many amazingly, brilliantly talented people who would have done so great in their chosen fields. They come to Australia, they go to US, and they see the real life there as international students, all of this hassle of trying to juggle everything. And there are no mentors. The people saying like, you can't do, it's very hard to get an IT job. It's very hard to get an
yeah.
accounting job. But there are people who are
Yep.
doing that as well.
Yep.
So so like most of the I haven't met much Nepalese students who have done things that I have done. Like, it's, I'm not boasting, but I'm saying, like, if you work hard, if you make yourself ready for those opportunities, when those opportunities come, then you can do anything. So
Yep.
there's one saying in Sanskrit. It's called Yat Bhava Tad Bhavati, which means you become what you believe.
What do we
So
do? Yep.
you need to believe that you will
I'm
get
getting
there. You
shivers as you're talking. Yes. Yes.
really.
Okay.
So you need to believe what you want to do in your life. You need to believe in your dreams. You need to believe in yourself. Because when I came first, some of the people very close to me, they told me that you are not getting a job in IT. Nobody does. So do cookery, do childcare. I don't have anything against
Yep.
people who do that for the
Yep.
passion. If they
Absolutely.
love those
Yep.
things, it's fine. But doing that only for money, doing that only for PR, it doesn't make sense. And slowly you start to do those things and you forget about your dreams, you forget about
Yep.
passion. And
Absolutely.
40, 50 years down the line, you regret saying that I should have tried, I should have given it a go. So what I want to say is, I want to say one another story. Can I?
Yeah. Absolutely. This is
So
yours. Yes.
I used to work as a cleaner in Melbourne Connect. So I used to
Yep.
clean toilets, I used to clean
Yep.
offices, I used to clean kitchens.
Yep.
But I used to come home like 10:30, 11 in the night, and I used to code. I used to study until 2 or 3 in the morning, because I knew that I wanted to do something in IT. I wanted to do something in the things that I'm passionate about. I worked hard. I slept like 2 or 3 hours a day. And there were so many sleepless nights. I've worked on my projects, so many sleepless nights. I have worked on so many various things that made myself ready when the opportunities come. And there was an incident when I left the cleaning job 1 month ago, and the next month I was invited in the same building as a guest AI engineer to attend a meeting. I was cleaning the same room a month prior to that, and I was in the same room wearing suit, attending like senior executives of University of Melbourne people as an AI software engineer. So that little
Excellent.
jump from cleaning toilets to being in the same room and speaking where people were hearing about you, it took so many sleepless nights. It took such a hard work. It took such disciplines and all of those things in between. But if you don't give up, and if you just have that goal in mind and work towards it, you'll make that jump. And it's not just me, it's like everyone who's trying to do something out there, who's just feeling tired of their hard work and like unmotivated at this point. Like, if you are listening to me, then just work a little bit harder, just work a little bit more, and you will never know when the opportunity comes. And when the opportunity comes, if you are right for that position, if you're right for that opportunity, and you'll get there. So I have made that jump, and I know that you can make that jump as well. Yeah.
Amazing. Amazing. Love it. Um, Before we finish, what else do you have to say to our listeners? What message is there for Are You Okay Day? Because my definition of Are You Okay has changed a lot since I've come here. When I ask somebody, Are you okay? I actually mean, are they okay? And they can talk to me, they can, and let me tell you, most times people don't say anything. They're still embarrassed, and it's not just us. It is
Yes.
even local here. There is still a stigma to it. Hopefully soon it will be normalized. But
Yes.
until then, I keep asking, what is your
Yeah.
message to all our listeners?
I think I have talked about everything, whatever it was in my heart. So I feel like there's so many things that if somebody is listening to me, I've relayed that message to them. But what I want to say, what I want to add to that is, yeah, so people feel afraid to talk about mental health. People feel afraid to talk about what they are going, with the fear that people will judge you. If we are specifically talking about Australia, if we are specifically talking about Melbourne, or these cities, then all of us, like most of us, are international students. Most of us go through the same things. Most of us goes through similar stress. So if you are going through something, then I must have gone through something as well. So I must be going through something as well. So it's okay to share your stories. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to go see a counselor. It's okay to talk about it, because it's okay not to be okay. But saying that, it is also absolutely necessary to emphasize on the other person as well. So let's say I'm seeking help. I'm going through my mental health issues. I'm seeking help, but I'm only trying to get help from people, but I'm not self-aware about what if something I say can affect the person in front of me negatively? What if that person is already going through mental health issues and something I randomly, jokingly say about can push that person towards the edge of mental health spectrum? What if like something that's not very huge for me can be a huge deal for that other person? So we should also be aware of what or how we are trying to deal with that situation, or just understand what the other person is going through and just empathize with that person. And it's all about sharing stories. It's all about helping each other, because are you okay, asking somebody's are you okay, just going to random, I have asked so many people, random strangers, if they are going through something, like you can see in their face, in their behavior, if somebody is going through something. I've asked them so many times, are you okay? And it was even before I knew about the existence of are you okay day, because I was going through that and I wanted people to come and ask me that. I wanted people
Ask
to
you. Yeah.
come and give me that hug, just tell me that it's going to be fine. I wanted a shoulder that I can cry to. So just be that. Everyone has gone through the similar situations. Just be kind to the other people as well. Kind to yourself, be kind to yourself, but be kind to other people. Ask them, because your one little hi, your one little smile, your one little question of are you okay can literally save the other person's life.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So just be
Absolutely.
nice. Just be nice to everyone.
Nishcha,
That would be my
thank you very
message,
much.
I guess.
Very powerful words, very powerful message. And again, good on you. This is awesome.
thank, thank you so much.
Thank you. And I will be in touch tomorrow.
Sure. Thank you so much, Saleha, for this opportunity to
Pleasure. Pleasure.
for me to
Pleasure's
like
all
talk
mine.
about things. I feel
Pleasure's
so
all
honored.
mine. And I, oh, you're making me embarrassed now. Pleasure's all mine again. And we will be in touch. Thank you so much.
Sure. Thank you so much,
Okay.
Saleha.
Okay. Bye.